What's going on, YouTube? This is another What Am I Listening To video, my third one. So, we'll just get started. Um, Gotta say, though, this week's been kind of rough for me with all the isolation, and I don't know, I've just been a little bit sick too. No corona or anything like that, but I have a skin condition and it's been flaring up a bit, and it's not nice. Especially, I don't know, with it getting nice out and everything, and I want to go biking, and um, it's just not good for that. Anyway, um, this is what I've been listening to. Well, this is what I've been listening to recently. So anyway, we'll start with this because this is kind of like where we left off on the last video. Even though we left off on Dismember, um, this is where I'm going to start off because it's kind of where I went to next. So this album came from me, Immolation, Fall, Failure for Gods, and it's a great record. It took me by surprise a little bit with the production when I first put it on, because I like to blind buy. I listen to things a little bit, but like with this record, I didn't listen to much at all before I bought it and before it came to my door. So when I put it on, I was like, wow, the production's weird because the drums are in a high register. They kind of like are in a higher register um, above the guitars and the vocals. And it's not a bad sound, it's just one that I had to get used to. And yeah, this record is fucking awesome. No Jesus, No Beast. Number 2 on the record, seems like a single. It's very catchy. It's one of my favorite Immolation songs. Um, Up there with Father, You're Not a Father. But after that song, this record doesn't hold your hand. It is the same monolithic death metal that you expect from Immolation. The riffs are as big as mountains. Um, really good stuff. Totally massive death metal. Very serious too, and I like the lyrical approach they take, where it's almost like they're not blasphemous. They're talking against God, but they're not blasphemous like talking about goats raping virgins in the ass. It's not like that. It's more like a man who, like a priest or something, who lost faith. That's kind of how I see their lyrics, and I think they're more intelligent than the average lyric. Like there's a line in No Jesus, No Beast that blows me away. It's so awesome. He goes, no virgin blood on pagan soil, and it's just like, yeah, it's dope. It's not. I mean, saying that out loud, it's not the brightest lyric, but when you're reading these lyrics, and most Immolation lyrics, all the lyrics I've come across, um, they're more intelligible than the ass raping devil goat man stuff. Anyway, so that's that record. That's kind of where I'm coming from my last video, since my last video. And then I went on a little journey. One of the local record stores in town said they put up more items on their Discogs, more from their store, and they said if you want anything, you can come pick it up. You message him and you say, I want this record, and he's a good guy, and you just go to him and he meets you on the porch of the store and you give him the money and he gives you the record, and it's all good, and you chat for a little bit on the porch 6 feet away, or 6 meters or whatever. 6 feet anyway, a couple meters. But yeah, he posted this record, not one on my radar, but in these times, if something's not coming in the mail, I want something to listen to, so I went and picked this up. Black Seeds of Vengeance, Nile. They were actually going to play my town, London, Ontario, real soon, and they're not coming anymore, so that's a bummer. But this is an original pressing on Relapse, and this is a cool record. It's I have a good story with this record because it was such a nice thing to go be able to pick it up from that record store. And after that, I went down to the river and sat on a cliff and drank a beer and actually drank a few. And I watched a heron eat a fish, catch a fish right out of the river, kind of slowly hunt it. I just sat there for a while and watched it do it. And it was so cool, man. And like I had this record in my backpack and I took it home. I put it on the turntable and it was fucking awesome. But it's one of those records that you put on and it's so good the first time, and then 3 or 4 times into it, you're like, well, I see the cracks. I see, like, this is fantastic stuff, but it relies a little bit on chorusy, synthy, extravagant moments that are not necessarily the truest form of death metal, especially old school death metal that I can think of, and the guitars get washed out a little bit at those moments, and also there's the Egyptian moments, and when I first listened to this record, they were very welcome, but when I sit down to a death metal record, I don't necessarily want to listen to 2 minutes of Egyptian music every 2 or 3 tracks, and so as great as a record as it is, after my first few listens, I didn't think it was as good as I first thought. But I will be listening to this quite regularly when I'm in the mood for death metal, because it's brutal death metal, first of all. It's well written. All the guitars are there, all the drums are there. It's fast, it's technical, and it's full of fun. So, Black Seeds of Vengeance. Glad I bought it. Very cool. OG pressing. And what's funny is about this pressing is they have a lyric sheet with explanations for the songs. Cool, right? But then they have a record jacket. Exact same thing. So, well, at least I have 2 if one gets fucked up, so that's cool. Anyway, Nile, Black Seeds of Vengeance. Good record. Okay, moving on. Another record I've been digging. I've had this for quite a long time, and I've had it throughout the years in different formats. This is Cryptopsy, None So Vile. I mean, Eric Bauer said on his channel recently that this record wasn't aging well, and I kind of see that. I get that. I mean, it has caveats of things that aren't great. But this record is wholly unique for its time and is heavier than balls. I think this record goes in my top 5 heaviest records I've ever heard. And that's everything. That's industrial, that's power electronics, that's death metal, that's black metal. This record pummels you from start to finish. And it's actually one of its caveats. It doesn't let up. It doesn't take you for a somber moment. It doesn't really let the feeling in too much. It's just brutality. And you know what? Good on him. Good on him for it, because this record fucking rules. I mean, I do that rather well, don't you think? Oh, so good. I think every song, I can't really tell you there's a bad song on this. This label too that brought it out, War on Music, they're from Victoria, BC. And I've been ordering from them quite a bit recently because they're Canadian and doesn't have to cross any borders in these COVID times. So cool to have a record on their label. I didn't buy this from their label. I found it in our local record store. But I mean, that's cool too. That's cooler, you know. I didn't have to. I found one of this label records in a record store, so that's cool. Okay, moving on from Cryptopsy. Fucking amazing band. Do you ever watch that guy's Flo Mornier, his drum instructional video? Even if you're not a drummer, it's worth a watch because it's like technical as fuck, and he slows it down for you, and it's still technical as fuck. So amazing. Anyway, I want to talk about a band that I never thought I'd be that into, or as into as I am now. I'm talking about Cannibal Corpse. This is Back on Black, as you can see. Picture disc. Butchered at Birth. I've had this for a long time. I've recently ordered some more Cannibal Corpse. This is the only Cannibal Corpse I have on vinyl. I have some on CD, but this band never really, I never gave a shit about Cannibal Corpse. Not really. I mean, I've always liked them. I saw them live within the past 6 months here in my hometown. But now that the death metal's hitting hard, these guys just fucking do it right. They're like the mayhem of death metal. They just tickle you where you want to be tickled. And fuck, yeah. Cannibal Corpse, man. There's not too much to be really said. They're just brutal. They're another band that doesn't really take you on any really doesn't give you a break. They're not like slowing down for they slow down. They do. But they're not for emotional moments. They're not for letting you feel sad or emotional. Their slow moments are just brutal slow moments, and then they pick up again into brutality. And as I mentioned before, I'm having a flare up of a skin condition, and covered with sores. Kind of strikes a chord with me right now. This artwork too is amazing. I used to have this on a T-shirt, and I walked around with it as a kid. And there was the baby on the back, butchered at birth. I remember one lady coming up to me in high school and just being like, "Oh, that's fucking nice." And I just turned around to her. I was like, "You're sick. You think that's cool? You're sick." But no, that art, something else. This band just too never lets up. They're so consistent. I don't know if I'll be interested in them forever, but I'm really enjoying listening to them now. So, I hope I am. Really. Fucking awesome band. And this record's been doing it for me. That's the record I usually end up listening to at the end of the night. Okay, this is the last record that came for me in the mail. That's the last record I'm going to talk about. And it's an interesting record, too, because this record was recommended by other YouTube dudes, metal dudes, particularly Marty Worm. And if you haven't watched his channel and you're watching mine, I don't know what the fuck, but you should go watch his. I've always been a fan of Bolt Thrower for years and years. Got into War Master, Realms of Chaos. That's pretty much what I know. But this record, not everyone, a lot of people have said it's their favorite Bolt Thrower and that it's just magnificent. So, fuck, I ordered it. Oh, whoa, shit. Camera's all backwards. This is Bolt Thrower for Victory. And, yeah. It's a fucking epic Bolt Thrower record. Which Bolt Thrower record isn't? I think the least epic one actually is my favorite one that I own, which is Realms of Chaos. That record still has a lot of punk and hardcore aesthetic, but that record fucking decimates, absolutely. Um, but this record is like triumphant, more triumphant than that record. Um, it's a war record through and through, and if you couldn't tell from the cover, um, I don't know what the fuck, but it's all about war, modern war too. It's like um, the dudes who were talking about, dropping bombs, listening to Ministry and Pantera, they didn't hear fucking Bolt Throwers for Victory yet, because that's what they'd be dropping the bombs to if they hadn't heard those records, or if they had heard this record first, or at that time. Anyway, Jesus Christ, like songs. Here we go. The song For Victory. All right. When he screams, what's the lyric? Holy shit! I just want to look at it now. Oh yeah. Valor, honor. Okay. Through time, war prevails. Thoughts, fears cast aside. Face the consequence alone with honor, valor, pride. And then it just hits that blast beat that fucking Bolt Thrower is so known for and so good at. And that's something I gotta say about Bolt Thrower, is that this record, as good as it is, kind of seems like like they're just going through the motions. Like, they know how to write these songs. It's like every song they write, they know how to make the best fucking Bolt Thrower song that ever was. And there's definitely a formula on this record. And I would even say that came from War Master. I've never heard Fourth Crusade. That's a record I need to get on eventually. But there's a formula to this record, and it's the best formula. It's very good, but it can become a little tired, I must say. But yeah, this record is something I think that I'm going to be throwing on for a long time. And I might be able to come back at you with a better explanation of it in years to come, or see how it grows on me. Maybe I'll talk about this record again, because it's an epic record, and maybe just needs to permeate inside me a little more. Okay. Anyway, peace out, YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.